We're joined once again by Rich Nelson. He's the chief strategist with Allendale. As we talk about this report, obviously we've been waiting on these numbers and expectations from USDA. It's kind of one of those reports that we count on every year. But where do we go from here now that they're in?
You know, as far as pricing action, this is a real big concern here. We have the smallest plantings, I want to say, go back since 2018 on the corn end. This is even before we start talking about some concerns about yields. So the market was already trading in on its own pricing, not USDA, a 1.1 billion bushel crop in terms of pricing. Now we're talking about sub 1 billion bushel stocks if these numbers do hold. Now for soybeans, this does give us a little cushion in that supply argument that we've been hearing here these past few weeks.
As we look at everything going on in the world, what do these numbers tell us about what's possible as we go into the next couple of months?
You know, the concerning issue is this implies that if our own farmers are cutting back a little more than expected on the corn end, perhaps that may be seen in other plantings around the world. So this does certainly recharge this argument that if we're not going to get Ukraine planted on time, which is certainly not going to be the case at this point, we're going to have a market which you're going to have to price in some very sharp supplies of corn, certainly these next few months.
Obviously, wheat in that Russia-Ukraine, Black Sea region, a big question mark at this point, whether it will end up in the world market. How much does this drive spring wheat acres here going forward in the U.S.?
And that had been a real big question. They revised down their previous estimate on winter wheat plantings here in the U.S. And on top of that, they told us as far as other spring plantings, actually a net decline. So the trade was expecting a moderate 400,000 acre increase. Now we actually get to see a decline. So this wheat argument is certainly not getting any help from these numbers today.
All right, Rich, sure appreciate the insights as always. Thank you much for joining us here on Ag Day. We'll be back with more coming up in just a minute.
To talk to Rich Nelson one-on-one, call 800-262-7538.